Okay, so it's now the holiday season. We are in the beginnings of December. So I've been seeing the Prager University ad a couple times talking about the change from Merry Christmas to Happy Holidays. And this is actually 2 years old. I didn't know it was that old, but I've seen it a couple times. Now, Dennis Prager is making the case that it's actually sort of an insult to America to change Merry Christmas, and saying Merry Christmas in public places, having people who work in public accommodations to saying Happy Holidays, like that's a bad thing. And he's saying that that's actually somewhat detrimental to our society because, first of all, his argument is that it's ignorant, that it is depreciating the quality of our society, and it's also about one portion of the population, the left, so says Prager, trying to take control of the entirety of the society, kind of like playing the wag the dog, which isn't really his exact words, but that's kind of the idea that he expressed. Now, this is a very interesting one because I'm not a big fan of Dennis Prager. Most people aren't. I mean, that's why he has to pay us all to watch his things, because of paid advertising campaigns junking up our YouTube feed. But this is one of the things where I think it's just completely halfway, he's halfway correct, and then there's a little bit more to the story. I mean, his argument is that the left is trying to use secularism to kind of take over America and even Europe, and to try and just move them to the left's advantage. And it's just sort of done in a political play. It's trying to be inclusive, but they're actually just trying to exercise power. Well, here's one thing. You don't have to be a Christian to celebrate Christmas. He is Jewish, and he does. He mentions people like Irving Berlin and Michael Feinstein who celebrate Christmas or participate in Christmas traditions, even though they are not Jewish. Sorry, even though they're not Christian, they are Jewish. They are not Christians. I'm not even a Christian myself, and I celebrate Christmas. My parents just kind of raised us without religion. We didn't grow up in any particular organized faith. And I celebrate Christmas because, yes, I'm American and we grew up around it. So in that respect, I totally see his point. I mean, Christmas does not have to be a Christian holiday. I mean, it is an American holiday, which it totally is. I mean, almost all businesses will be closed Christmas, except maybe a 7-Eleven, and the supermarket until 5 p.m. will be open or something like that. That's it. But the thing is, we also have religious holidays, like Valentine's Day is named for St. Valentine, right? St. Patrick's Day is named for St. Patrick, right? These people are saints, they are religious figures, but why don't we have such an enormous stigma against saying Happy Valentine's Day, or something like saying Happy St. Patrick's Day? I mean, why is there such a big issue about Christmas? And on this page, on this point, I completely agree with Dennis Prager that Christmas has been kind of unfairly targeted, and there's a bit of media sensationalism, because let's not kid ourselves, the right also does this stuff too, freaking out over Starbucks holiday cups and stuff like that, but at the same time, they also say businesses should have the right to do whatever they want, so there's that issue. Where I would just sort of push back, though, is I think Dennis Prager somewhat underestimates the nature of being inclusive. For example, I mean, we have 3 holidays that are in this type of holiday block. We have Hanukkah, Christmas, and Kwanzaa, and really 4 if we count Boxing Day, which, some Americans do celebrate, very, very few. I completely disagree with Stephen Crowder that Kwanzaa is not a legitimate holiday, that it isn't real, I guess was his exact term. And I did an upload on that because something like Kwanzaa, you have to view that as sort of like a toolbox. And I do mean that, yes. It's like a toolbox. It's like you have something in front of you. You have things that you can use, and it depends on what you want to make with it. I mean, there is a lot of good in Kwanzaa. And earlier I was thinking about, metaphors, and I mean, I heard Sam Harris say the metaphor diamonds in the dunghill a few times or something like that, and I think that Kwanzaa is not like that. I think it's actually much bigger. I mean, there are a lot more diamonds, and there really are some benefits to things like Kwanzaa, and I think if people gave that another look, then they might actually see something a little bit more profound in the holiday of Kwanzaa, and we can talk about that in a separate upload. But the thing is, we have Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, and Christmas, and Boxing Day. That's why we call this time the holidays. And what people were just sort of recognizing is like, well, why is Christmas the only one that we acknowledge? I mean, we don't say Happy Hanukkah to people who don't celebrate Hanukkah. We don't really say Happy Kwanzaa to people who are not celebrating Kwanzaa. So why are we saying Merry Christmas? I mean, why don't we just acknowledge all the holidays at once and we say Happy Holidays? On a personal level, I mean, I don't feel the slightest bit hurt by Happy Holidays versus Merry Christmas. I'm fine with either one. I mean, like, and the right is all about freedom, so it's like, I don't really, disagree with anyone's sort of right to do anything. It's like, you have the freedom to say Happy Holidays, and you have the freedom to say Merry Christmas. And also, you're talking about businesses making their own decisions. If a business wants to say that their employees should only say Happy Holidays, and this is in their code of conduct, which employees agree to, we're talking private businesses, and employees are making a personal agreement that they're going to do this. What exactly is so wrong about that? In fact, I would flat out say, I would argue that there is nothing wrong with that. It doesn't really violate anything. And furthermore, I really think that Prager is just underestimating the inclusive argument. There's a big thing to be said about secularism, because I was, watching one video from something, I just couldn't remember. They were talking about the concept of how secularism involves the belief system as well. It's like you're putting, sort of faith in the fact that this pathway that you're choosing is also the correct pathway or something like that. But they said it way more profoundly than I could ever articulate, and that's why they call it the Church of Secularism or something like that. And I can't even remember all the words, but not to mention, it's also like, those people who are following the secular tradition believe that their pathway is correct, the same way that everybody else believes that their pathway is correct. Everybody has a worldview, believer or non-believer, secular or spiritual. So it's like we can really just view that, we all have to sort of coexist, and we can get along. And what Dennis Prager is also kind of insinuating is a very bold statement that by saying Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas, the left is going to try and make Christmas no longer a national holiday. He does, I do agree with him. Christmas is an American holiday. It is a genuine American holiday. A holiday in the sense that school is closed, most people don't go to work, and people enjoy it. Yes, it's a public holiday. But what I would say that I don't necessarily believe that the left is trying to make Christmas not a real holiday anymore, or they're trying to delegitimize the holiday of Christmas. As far as I know, leftists don't like going to school or work on Christmas Day. As far as I know, leftists like receiving presents no matter how old they are. They like all of those things, and I don't really think anyone is begging to go to work for an extra day. Some people are, the people who really need, the hours, and then we can talk again about what we're going to do about minimum wage plus benefits and all of those things, holiday pay and stuff like that, Christmas bonuses. But that's a totally different conversation. Now, what we can really recognize is just that Happy Holidays is not such a serious issue, and saying Happy Holidays instead of Merry Christmas is not really the world coming to an end like the way Dennis Prager is insinuating. It's also not that people are just exercising power. There is a certain genuine amount of inclusion that is associated with this time. It's like, even if a very, very, very small portion of the population celebrates Kwanzaa, it's still a holiday that's there. And in fact, I think, maybe we don't pay attention to enough of the other holidays that are in America that are of a variety of different traditions. But it's still there. And Boxing Day, and Hanukkah, And of course, Christmas, which actually, is of course a 12-day celebration. That's why we had Christmas vacation, now called winter vacation. I mean, Christmas goes on for 12 days, right? So we have this holiday time. And you still have the freedom to tell people in your personal life, Merry Christmas. And even if if you don't have anything preventing you from saying that at work, then you are also allowed to say that, in businesses and stuff, if there are no sort of agreements that you made that you're only going to be saying happy holidays and you're going to sort of just have a kind of more secular workplace. I mean, once again, businesses are allowed to make their own decisions like that. I mean, that's what the conservatives and the right-wingers always wanted. So when we look at this, it's not really necessarily going to be viewed as the leftists are trying to exercise power and control the entirety of America and force everybody into secularism, because, that's just not what's happening. It's more just like we had 3 or 4 major holidays. I mean, we have 3 holidays, definitely, and Boxing Day as well on December 26th. Not to mention, we didn't even talk about New Year's. New Year's is also included in the holidays. New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, all of these things. It's just a holiday time, so why is Christmas the only holiday that we're acknowledging? Once again, this doesn't have to be anything with associated with religion, because many people who celebrate Valentine's Day aren't thinking about Saint Valentine at all. Many people who are celebrating St. Patrick's Day just want to drink green beer and wear green face paint and listen to Flogging Molly and stuff like that. So those things are kind of like, they found a way to sort of hold on to the tradition, but they also don't hold on to the entirety of, religious evangelism. Those things are not evangelizing religion in any single way. They're not. When you were sharing little Valentines around like Charlie Brown in elementary school, that wasn't a religious exercise. It might have come from that. That might be based in that. But, people like Howard Phillips are very keen to recognize that, America was founded that way, and that's just kind of the way that we evolved. So, I think it's rather harmless, and it's rather just benign. And also, remember the toolbox. These things are just kind of what you make of them. And there really are some things there that can bring a lot of genuine, qualitative improvements to our society, with things like Hanukkah and Christmas and Kwanzaa, as well as Valentine's Day and St. Patrick's Day. They really can improve the overall well-being of our society, whether it's just a little bit of extra colored lights and some paper that are actually just bringing people some things to look forward to, and also preparation and anticipation and, things like Valentine's Day and St. Patrick's Day, which give people another celebration to look forward to and to participate in and to bring people closer together. So that's really the thing that we can view. But the Happy Holidays thing, it is about inclusion, because they just wanted to show that it's not only about Christmas, that this time period is for everybody, whether you celebrate Christmas or not. Dennis Prager mentions that, he is Jewish, of course, right? And Christmas is not his holy day, but he still says that Christmas is an American holiday. And there's nothing wrong with that. He has every right to believe that, and he has every right to do that. But what I don't think he recognizes is there are also people out there who don't share that viewpoint. So it's also for them to create something more inclusive. Well, that's all for me now. Until next time.